Hello, 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 and welcome to today's episode of Her Version. This podcast is dedicated to sharing stories of struggle to triumph, a platform that allows individuals to tell their truth in order to inspire and uplift others. For those of you that are new to this podcast and like content like this, make sure you hit that subscribe button, follow, like, and share. I am your host, Sabrina Victoria. Let's jump right in. Thank you for joining us today for this episode of Her Version. The Her Version platform is built on storytelling and the understanding that many times our greatest learning experiences come from listening to other people's stories. Today, I'm speaking with an amazing woman named Klara. She is an emotional wellness coach who helps stressed moms of tots transform tension into wholeness and connection with mind-body tools such as EFT tapping. Yes. And nature-oriented wellness. She believes there is no such thing as a bad kid or a bad mom. Join us as we learn to nurture the now and heal the past so we can all become the moms we always wanted to be. Welcome, lady. How are you?
I'm great. Thanks, Sabrina, for having me. What a great intro. Thank you.
Yes, girl. I love what you do. And there are so many moms that would probably love to get inside your brain and know all of the things. So I'm so excited to hang out here with you for a little bit of time and for you to share some, small nuggets of information that you can with us so we can get a little more insight on how to do all of the things, so much of which we learn really late in life when it's almost too late,
Right.
or don't learn at all. So super excited to have you here. How did you get into this industry, by the way? I'm assuming maybe you're a mom.
Well, yes, my mom had a lot to do with it. She sent me on the journey of self-discovery and looking up into what's actually happening in my life. What's what, pretty much, labeling it, what's happening.
I love it. Wait a minute. So your mother is what actually got you on this roller coaster of what you do now.
It's her actions when I was little that, created all that turmoil within me later on in life that then I kind of was, sent to the universe in the search of peace, thanks to her.
Yes.
Kind of.
Yes. Wow. That is awesome. So I'm excited to dive in, first of all, to all the things that you're going to share with us, but also some of your backstory, I think so many entrepreneurs wind up in a journey that's not quite in an alignment of mental and emotional health. And then we end up in these really awesome industries or these really awesome niches because of our own story. And I just love that. So I would love to kind of just start out this podcast by hearing a little bit about your past. If you could share with us a story or a pivot that happened in your life that was, big for you, or a big movement for you, and then what you learned from that change or that pivot.
I think all of us can have a bunch of these so choosing like one or two is hard, but I think now that I think backwards, it's kind of so I was 14, I was a teen. I wasn't sure what to do, where to go with my life. I was just stressed out of my mind and anxious, depressed, but didn't know any of these labels yet, so I was just surviving. And I kind of resorted to attempted suicide, and I'm here, so it didn't work. Great. But I see that as that there could be like a split screen, either darkness since that age and not being here, or kind of borrowed time. And that feeling always kind of grows within me, that every time I'm looking at something that is challenging, I kind of remind myself that, hey, this is all here because something wanted you to keep going, someone, somewhere.
Yeah.
And it's always that feeling of, it's gonna be okay. You're here. You're here for a reason. And I think the learning story is for me to understand my journey up until that point, because all these decisions and feelings and disconnections that led me to the moment back then are deeply ingrained within my system. And if I don't want to end up that way again or feeling that way, then I better pay attention to the patterns that led me there. And they are still with me. And there are moments that I feel like, not necessarily suicidal anymore like that, but, of feeling low and down. And I'm kind of working with myself that, okay, this is natural. This is part of me. It's up and down. It's a journey. There's no perfection, but there's only progress. So I think when the learning journey for me is to look at the progress and look where I am right now.
I like that progress versus perfection. I think so many people deal with that.
Yeah. I just heard that on a podcast last week with a Canadian poet, Humble the Poet, and he was, that's all him talking about, that we are so focused on perfection and forget to look at the progress. And perfection is not real, but progress is.
Yes, perfection is not real. It's like a figment of our imagination. 100%.
And I feel like we as a human beings kind of have hard time dealing with life, and had, since our ancestors. And maybe that's why we created all these special religions and sects and steps that would kind of ensure that perfection, that maybe that brought us security. But inheriting that in our genes, that rush for perfection, it's a burden. And it's good to know that it's not you, that it's not yours, and you don't have to listen to it. You can acknowledge it, you can see it, but it doesn't mean, especially with moms, that you have to act on it.
Yeah, I definitely agree with all of that. When did you figure that out? Like, at what point in your life did you actually sit down and recognize that you were chasing perfection and you needed to kind of change how your mind was working?
I think it took too long. And it's some other, I heard other podcaster mention learn your lessons quickly. And I wish I learned that a little bit earlier, but it came in my late 20s when I signed in for a graduate course. And I went in, I got a first assignment back, and the teacher said, hey, I put some notes, it's in your email. And as soon as I heard that he made some comments, I had an internal freak out. I had like, I didn't even know what's happening at the time. It was like total lack of awareness, but like I dropped the course, and I didn't look out of fear. I didn't open that email for 6 months.
Okay.
Out of just fear of that I did something wrong, that there's like a horrible grade, and he's like taking me apart and saying how, terrible assignment I did. And then I opened it up and it was a B+.
What?
Yeah. And I did all that. And just out of that, end of the road mindset, just that raging depression, I didn't even know that is raging. So I walked into a therapist's office with a sentence of, I had a happy childhood, and wanted to continue how happy it was. And he just sat there and just just let me talk. And at the end of the session, I went in for like a year-long supply of Kleenex. So that was my intro to perfection.
Wow.
But
What
it
a
takes a
story.
while, even with the therapy, still trying to be perfect patient, perfect attendee,
Yeah.
perfect this, perfect disciple. So I would say it's an ongoing journey.
Yeah.
And what I would say is the progress that I can see it very quickly now, and I can abandon that path very quickly in me.
Yeah. And I do think that that's the key is it's not perfection. It's not like you do this research and then at one point in your life it's all good.
No,
I think it very much is acknowledging the progress, acknowledging the ever evolving of our mindset, and really giving ourselves grace and allowing us to take our own healing journey because ours is different than everybody else's. Kind of like what you said, like you feel like you did a little late, you know,
but
with
on
you were in
that,
your 20s and I didn't hit it
yeah,
until my 30s.
exactly.
So,
So if someone's listening, you're like, oh, I'm like this much. It's like it's never too late.
yeah.
It's just your perception of, again, that, oh, I should have done it earlier. I should have been fixed earlier. So maybe,
Yeah.
hey, perfection, it's here again. It's
Yeah.
talking to us.
Exactly. Exactly. So I want to ask, as you have been going along in your journey and you've been learning new things and figuring out new tools on how to be a better person, just in general, um, what are some things that you have adopted as far
Mhm.
as when you are confronted with a struggle or a challenge in your life, you're face to face in it or you're right in the middle of it? What are some things that you do as a woman now to pull yourself out of that quickly? You said learning lessons early, not staying in the funk of it for too long. You said something like that. So, what are some of the things that you do now to kind of quicken that pace?
Yeah. So, first of all, I would say what's my biggest change towards the better person is that there's no such thing as a better person for me. For me, it's more kinder and gentler
Okay.
to myself and surroundings, because I was so strict on that betterment, getting better, getting rid of my reactivity, getting not being this, not being that, that I just got into like self-policing and like being so hard and harsh that I
Yeah.
created way more stress. So the
Wow.
first, I would say, my perception change is like whenever something's happening, I just soften. Like it's the word soften from, I'm not sure if it's from yoga practice or from mindfulness, but if you can soften what you are thinking, the way you're looking at your thoughts, the way you are talking to yourself, like, oh my God, I'm in this, like, it's gonna be horrible, and he's doing this, and I'm like struggling, and it's gonna be the worst thing in my life, and it is the worst thing. If you can just, take a step back and soften those thoughts, that breath you have in the moment.
Yes.
Just, take a step back and just look at it from far. And I think every challenge always comes up as something new for you to grow.
Mhm.
So it's like soften and then growth oriented mindset of what I'm growing into or what I'm growing through.
Got it.
And then, from the tapping, I've learned I think the tapping, I just love the initial setup statement, which states, even though I am going through this, I am feeling this, I accept how I feel or who I am. And to me, that always removes that first initial buzz in the conflicting thoughts and like, you should, no, I'm so afraid. Oh, this is, doomsday. You should be more peaceful. You should deal with this better. It just like brings you back to who you are
Yeah.
and lets you just look at it the way it is without the extra shoots, musts, and and bees and just kind of, you know, kind of almost like with your child. Like we are not looking, like the goal of attachment or gentle parenting is not to eradicate all challenges, but to initially ride the challenges with your child and then teach them how to ride them so they can then ride the storm by themselves when they need to. And the same thing with yourself, like ride the challenges with yourself. Don't get disconnected from you, but stick to yourself, stick to being kind, and do everything, ride the storm while embracing yourself, despite the challenges, ride the storm.
Yes. 100%.
Sorry, that was a lot.
Yeah, but that's so true. And I think that those are logical and simple enough for somebody to kind of grasp. One of the things that I always say is when you hear the way that somebody else does something, instead of completely disagreeing with it, really sit with it, see what resonates with you, adopt that, and then leave the rest. It's really no big deal. And the idea is to listen to as many as people as possible, grab onto as many experiences that you hear as possible, figure out what works for you in your life, then don't worry about anything else. I love it. I absolutely love it. What do you think has been the number one lesson that you've learned about life?
It goes on.
Ooh, yes. Yes, it does. Yes, it does. Tell us more.
No matter what you think, no matter how terrible the thing is in the moment, things move on. Yeah. Life goes on, and this shall pass.
Yeah, definitely. How do you work that as far as when you're in the midst of it? Is this like something you say to yourself or meditate or journal? How do you like bring that back up when you're in the middle of something?
So I keep a generic, very easy daily journal where I just write every day. I write how I'm feeling. And that helps me, it's just I'm feeling this, and where in my body. And that kind of helps me to set the predicament for the day. So if everything's okay, I'm good to go. If I don't feel great, then I kind of tell myself that, hey, you will be probably perceiving things a little different. You might feel things are harder than they are. Don't make any lasting decisions. Don't use any definitive statements to yourself, like, this sucks, this will never change. And it's like, not don't use, but, don't pay attention to those statements that you come up in your mind. Like, your mind is just, you're having a hard day. So I kind of keep in check where I am, because when you're having a hard day, then everything looks terrible. Yeah. And that the thing that things pass sounds to you like, no, they won't. It'll never pass, and it's horrible. And it's normal to feel bad, and it's normal to have depressed days and sad days and happy days and joyous days. And it doesn't mean that you didn't heal enough or that you are broken, but it's just knowing how to work with those days. Yeah. So, when those bad days come in, or growth days, yeah, or nurture days, I kind of take it easier on myself. And also I write like 3 parts of gratitude, like for my daughter, for my husband, and then job well done for me. And that kind of helps me to snap out of that buzz and that just kind of get back to myself, because that heart energy and that joy that's who we are, I feel, and then we get a little bit of bogged down here or there, sometimes more, but that gratitude kind of keeps me in perspective of it goes on and sun comes up again.
Yeah, definitely. Or do you find that this new mindset helps you with being a mom?
Totally. It also helps me to look at myself differently when I'm feeling triggered. So I'm dealing with more on top of the trigger when I'm having those nurture days. And I think the biggest learning lesson that I came to, and it's helped me shape my business that way also, is that you are just living when you feel tension, doubts, worries, fears, anxiety, triggers, you're just working through the one unhealed thing. And the one unhealed thing I called, is your past, your childhood stress, disconnection from your caregivers or from your surroundings, trauma, unmet emotional or physical needs. So when you're feeling this, it's not your fault. You're just living through your past pain.
How do we clear that?
With tapping.
When did you find tapping?
I went to my therapist and we started talking and talking and talking, and things started to pour out and lots of painful stuff. And I just figured that I'm re-traumatizing myself because things are stored for a reason. We don't go to bed and start reminiscing our traumas or stressful moments. We're, binging Netflix or so we kind of grow with the things in the back of us, but we don't really have a strength or resilience to look at them, and they kind of keep showing up in our lives. And the therapist was like, what, tapping would really help with that. I was like, yeah, whatever. And then, another month he would be, tapping would really help. I'm like, really? So finally I tried it. And the thing is that consciousness can get us as far as our body allows us. It's like a struggle. Do I want to go there? Do I allow myself go there? And even though if you're aware of things, then it's hard to deal with them. But the tapping goes next step on top of that awareness. It also works with the body release and with your brain release, like with the actually release. It tells the brain that, hey, this experience is no longer threatening to you. It's not a threat. You don't have to be scared. You don't have to be worried about it. You can move on, which is kind of, tapping in a nutshell.
Yeah. For those listening who don't know what tapping is, can you tell us?
Yeah. So let's say you are worried that, hey, I'm going to be on this podcast and I'm really scared. So you bring up this, this fear, and you say, even though I feel this fear, I accept how I feel, or I accept myself. And while you're saying it, you kind of gently tap your acupressure points on your face or body. What that does is that it tunes into that feeling, and it calms the amygdala, it calms your stress response, and then it shows you what's under that feeling. So usually under that fear, it could be shame or guilt or, past, compounded emotions from your past memories or past experiences.
Yeah.
And when you kind of trace that, it takes you to the root cause. And that's where you actually do the lots of release and the actual healing in there. But you can, even in the moment, you can work on anxiety or whatever's coming up. Like, it seriously helps me. It's kind of my personal coach. When I feel conflicted, I can just say, do one round of tapping, and then I feel like, okay, I'm going this way. Or because those emotions always, they skew your view and they make you biased.
Definitely. When first of all, what are the points? Are they all on your face?
So for a shorter, just easy session, they are like inside your eyes, outside your eyes, under your nose, and on your chin.
Got it. And then what else?
You wanna try the tapping? Okay. Do you have a emotion or something that you're working on or working through?
Ooh, okay.
Think about your life yesterday, this morning.
Today was great.
Okay, good. I don't want to bring adversity into your day, but think about yesterday or a worry that you have.
A worry that I have. Okay, well, we have a summit coming up this weekend for our sobriety company. And there's a little bit of anxiety of like, did I remember all the things? Did we do it all? Is anyone going to show up?
Cool. Let's go there. How much of anxiety right now? 0 to 10?
I mean, it's still like 5 days out, so probably like a 6 right now.
6. Okay. So
Day before though.
yeah, this is a karate chop point. You can tap on that gently.
Does it matter what side?
No. And just say, even though I feel this anxiety.
Even though I feel this anxiety.
Where do you feel it in your body?
Right there.
On your chest?
I guess.
Okay. Does it have a color or sensation?
First color that came to mind was red.
Okay. So even though I have this red anxiety on my chest.
Even though I have this red anxiety on my chest.
I accept how I feel.
I accept how I feel.
Even though I have this, or I feel this anxiety in my chest.
Even though I feel this anxiety in my chest.
I accept how I feel.
I accept how I feel.
And I accept myself.
And I accept myself.
Okay, inside of eyes, this anxiety.
This anxiety.
Outside of the eyes, this red anxiety.
This red anxiety.
Under eyes, about the summit.
About the summit.
This red anxiety.
This red anxiety.
On your chin. Did I do enough?
Did I do enough?
Inside of the eyes, we're going to do it again. Is everybody going to show up?
Is everybody going to show up?
This anxiety.
This anxiety.
Under eyes, this red anxiety.
This red anxiety.
Under nose, in my chest.
In my chest.
On your chin, this red anxiety.
This red anxiety.
You take a deep breath. So what's coming up for you now?
That it felt kind of good on my face.
0 to 6, where is the anxiety?
I mean, I feel calmer.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, definitely.
Let's do one more round. And what's now the prevalent thought or fear or what, out of all these, I'm going to have everything ready. Is everything going to be ready? Everybody going to be showing up? Is he going to succeed? I'm not.
What is mostly coming up for me? I don't know. It's just overall, it's just angst, it's just overall, like, did we think of all the things? It's kind of like right before you go on a camping trip and you're like, crap, did I remember everything? Even though you could buy anything that you forgot in the store, but there's always still just like this,
Let's try this angst that you mentioned. I like that word. Even though I feel this angst.
Even though I feel this angst.
I accept how I feel.
I accept how I feel.
Even though I feel this angst.
Even though I feel this angst.
I accept how I feel.
I accept how I feel.
Okay, inside of the eyes, this angst.
This angst.
Outside of the eyes, about the summit.
About the summit.
All these things about the summit.
All these things about the summit.
This angst.
This angst.
This angst about the summit.
This angst about the summit.
Okay. And name some of these things that could be stressful.
How many people are going to show?
How many people are going to show?
Is there going to be enough food?
Okay, under eyes.
Is there going to be enough room for everyone to sleep?
Mm-hmm.
Is everyone going to have fun?
Mm-hmm.
Is it going to be dumb?
Mm-hmm. Oh, okay. Is it going to be dumb? Okay, perfect. Take a deep breath and tell me what's the worst case scenario if the if the summit's going to be a flop.
2 people show up.
And what does that mean for you?
It would just be a letdown.
A letdown.
A lot of work has gone into it.
A lot of work has done, but what does that mean about you? If
failure, not a leader, nobody takes me seriously, joke.
Okay, so there we are. These are your underlying, unhealed things.
Okay.
That makes things worse for you when you think about your summit. They're all like, in the back of your mind, but kind of hidden. Okay. So let's do a quick one. What's the worst out of the things that you said? Is it the failure or I'm not a leader? What resonates with you the most?
Would be probably that it's a joke.
Like the summit or that you are a joke?
Yeah, like the whole community just doesn't take it seriously. Just like it's silly. I know, but that's not even a thing. But like
let's
that
go,
would be
you
the
know, and
worst case scenario.
that's the beauty of like just following whatever irrational and silly things come up and just giving them, you know, honor them, but then clearing them instead of saying, shh, it's not real. Even though you said it to yourself, like, haha, I am here, you know. So even though I feel like the summit, people will think it's silly.
Even though I feel.
Or did you say a joke?
Either. I said both.
Okay, silly and a joke.
Silly and a joke.
Does it maybe sound that you might be a joke to them? That they don't take you seriously?
Yeah, it goes hand in hand.
Yeah. I know. Even though, so I'm gonna say this if it sounds right. Say it's okay. Even though I feel they're not gonna take me seriously.
Even though I feel like they're not going to take me seriously.
I accept myself.
I accept myself.
And how I feel about the summit.
And how I feel about the summit.
Yeah, and I, you know, all these thoughts.
All these thoughts.
About, you know, people not taking me seriously.
About people not taking me seriously.
Summit's gonna be a joke.
Summit's gonna be a joke.
I'm gonna fail as a leader.
Fail as a leader.
All this fear about failing.
All this fear about failing.
This fear.
It's
gonna be a joke to people. I'm gonna be a joke to them.
I'm gonna be a joke to them.
They don't take me seriously.
They don't take me seriously.
It's gonna be a waste of my energy.
It's gonna be a waste of my energy.
Okay, take a deep breath. Now think about the summit. How does it feel?
Better.
Good. And you know, we would, if this was gripping, we would go and pursue all, we would kind of, I would ask you, when was the first time you felt like someone was not taking you seriously? And you would take me probably on a journey to your, you know, probably childhood when someone did something to you or you felt, you know, in your body that you were not taken seriously. And that's where the root cause of these thoughts and beliefs about yourself would be.
Got it. Very nice. I love it.
Good job on, you know, doing your first tapping live. Very well done.
Yes, thank you. So how can this help parents? In what scenario do parents do this?
Every day with triggers, with being triggered by your child, by your husband, by your partner, by yourself. Because children, especially toddlers, they are like, it's like a barrage, you know, of things. Things are flying, food's not being eaten or being, you know, chucked through the room, siblings hit each other, stressful, fast-paced, crazy. And if you're coming to this with the level of unhealed moments that is higher than you can cope with, then you get into this like a sense of overwhelm and you're just yelling, or you're not yourself. You don't, you know, I think parents all want to parent from the best available, I guess, space that they could. But when those moments take you on a ride, you're not there for your child. And what we want for kids to feel validated and accepted, but triggers take you away from the moment. They disconnect you for a reason because they are protecting you from your pain. But then you're not able to be there for your child. And further, you know, you kind of transfer that disconnection to another generation unless, you know, you can work with the triggers. You know, it's not just tapping, it's many more steps. But if you can be there with your child when they are having a moment, because you no longer care that the red sauce is on the ceiling, you know, you just stated, oh, it's there, but it's not a threat to you. Like, you know, just a quick example, my daughter, I was in my bed and trying to rest, and my toddler's like, I got dirty hands. I was like, just go wash them. And I hear the tap going. I'm like, okay, good, she managed. I have 2 more minutes to rest. And then I got up and I looked around, and there was like a purple smudge of her hands from our room walking all the way to the bathroom. And then the bathroom was all purple. She meant to say, like, I have purple hands instead of dirty hands. And I get just my adrenaline kicked in. I was like, it was just going, you know, and I grabbed her the way she was in the tub, and the first thought come to me was like, I'm gonna just throw her in the tub, you know, just like head first and just throw her and like juicer with water, and just like this anger was coming in. And then I had a moment to step away from that gripping anger, I was like, okay. And then when I looked at it a couple of minutes later, when I was calmer, I realized that it was my fear of getting into trouble because I could not, make mess when I was a child.
Yeah.
So to me, it was a threatening situation that someone's gonna come and like slap me across my face because there's mess on the floor, or sorry, on the wall.
Yeah.
But in the moment, it was just like anger. But under that anger, there's gold for us to look into that anger and like grow through that anger and grow through that tension into the further connection with yourself and with your child.
Beautiful.
Or if you are in a partnership, then all the triggers, everything that's happening, that little ping pong between you and your partner, there's so much value in that for yourself.
Definitely. I can see that. Do you recommend both, like if there's a bickerment of some kind, both doing it at like similar times or separate?
Pardon me, are you talking about partners?
Yeah, because you were just talking about partners.
I think the best thing is, each partner, I don't believe in couples therapy. I think when you go with your partner and you're talking about the problem, you're kind of looking at the therapist to be like, it's to kind of say whose fault or who's into it more or less. But I think each person should have their own personal journey, and each person should look into their own thing. And then yes, each person should look into it through tapping or whatever modality works for them at the moment.
What about children? When can children start doing this? What's a good
They
age?
can start very soon. It's a really helpful concept, especially for toddlers, because first of all, you teach them that, hey, mom has feelings, she's working through them, she's human, and she's okay despite she's having those feelings. And this is exactly what we want to teach toddlers, to validate and accept their feelings. So first by showing them, and then having them do that for themselves when they are, when they grow up. But they can start tapping with toys and do like little tapping plays, or just like use the setup statement with toys, like, hey, cat is having this problem, bear is coming to help, and you can have a conversation and say, what are you feeling, and you can say, even though you're feeling, this, you are still a great bear or a great cat. And it helps to kind of practice that emotional regulation, but with such a nurturing and kind approach that, I love it with my daughter. We do it a lot. It's just, it kind of, we also elicit like all these crazy scenarios for the cat that could happen to her. And I think it's that irrational, we are learning to get those irrational thoughts out of the bag before they start interfering way too much, And then older kids can, tap themselves or just tap with their parents.
Beautiful. First of all, I would love to acknowledge those watching live. Thank you so much for being here, for hanging out with us. If you could share this video wherever you are watching us at so we can get more eyes and ears on this content, we would so appreciate it. If you're watching on the replay, #replay wherever you are so we can send you some love. But I want to ask, obviously we're getting an idea of what you do and who you are. But what exactly is your business? Who do you help? And where can people find you if they're really resonating with what you're saying?
So I help moms of tots who want to parent gently and softly and kindly, but have troubles with, keeping it together during stressful times and feel overwhelmed by parenting a toddler. I have a 4-step, 4-pillar way that helps them, parent with peace. They can find me at my website at klarasedlacek.com, and I'm hoping you will leave that in the notes because it's an interesting spelling with a KLARASEDLACEK.com, and I have a free grab for them to kind of get going on their journey towards peace. So
what's the free grab?
Yeah, it's it's gonna walk them through the 4 pillars and what it takes to get there.
So cool.
Mhm.
Oh, I like that. That's in your website?
Yes.
Where do they find that at? Where is it? I'm on your website.
So right now it says download your 5-step uh, 5-step tantrums with peace.
Oh, yes. Okay.
Yeah.
Cool.
It's gonna, I'm gonna change it slightly to tantrums and triggers with peace. So right now it's more oriented towards tantrums, but I'm gonna add the piece for the mom. So
Beautiful. That's fantastic. What's your big dream for your business, for your clients, for your community?
I think my big dream is that we keep helping each other to nurture ourselves and our children, and that we start recognizing very early on that we can move the mountains with kindness, but that we cannot stress kids any further and do timeouts and build a community by being disconnected. That I would love to build a community through connection and vulnerability but have people, especially moms, to just invest in themselves as a default. Whenever something's not working in their life, relationship, just go for it. Put everything on pause and invest time, resources into yourself. You're the most important thing on this earth to your child and to your family, and it has to start with you.
Yeah, definitely agree. Why do you do what you do?
I love that question. I think it comes back to that initial point that I mentioned, my attempted suicide, because all these moments of disconnections between myself and my mother, who's also a child of refugees of civil, very traumatic civil war. So her disconnections with her family through the trauma led to my disconnection with her trauma, and it compounded into that attempt. And when you are looking into when you're in that mindset as a teen, as a child, that you don't really have many choices, and then all these little disconnections, even though if they are little ones, they can at the moment lead you to a bad decision. So I want to make sure that the moms have a safe, kids are like butterflies or bumblebees. They all of a sudden they start buzzing with life. They come to you, they go out, they come to you, they go out, and they fly out. But I want them to know, to have their compass always pointed towards home in case of a storm. So I guess I do it because I don't want any more children to die. And I want all the parents to be able to have a meaningful and strong relationship with their child. So if life gets tough for them, because life gets tough for kids, high school and bullying and cyber and social media, it's hard.
Yeah.
But if they always know that they can come back,
Yeah.
then I think we got their back forever.
100%. That was beautiful. Very nice. So appreciate you being here, for taking some time out of your day to share some of your goodness with us here at Her Nation on this podcast. Any closing thoughts as we wrap up?
I would just want to tell all the people who are listening, you're beautiful, you're amazing, and we love you. I love you. You're great. Don't ever think otherwise. And I'm saying this to myself as well, because I'm working on that, on acceptance of these statements.
Yes, we're all working on all the things. Well, I love it. I so appreciate you and all the goodness that you're bringing into your world. For those of you watching live or on the replay, if you resonated with all this goodness today, make sure you check out the website, which is in the link of the description. Where are you on social media, by the way? Do you hang out on Facebook?
Instagram.
Under your name?
Under my name, yes.
Under your name. Awesome. So KLARA Instagram. And check out the description for the spelling and for her website. We love to connect people here on this platform in order to make sure that we all continue to rise. Thank you so much for joining us here on Her Version. This community is expanding every single day, and it's filled with females who are striving to do better than they did yesterday. For those of you that are new to this podcast and like content like this, make sure you hit that subscribe button, follow, like, and share. If you have an amazing story to share of struggle to triumph, reach out to me at hernation.life. I am your host, Sabrina Victoria, and I am so grateful to be here sharing a platform that allows people to share their truth and inspire others. And